Greetings my fellow lords and ladies, welcome back to another episode of Dark Souls 3 The Ashen Journey. My name is Lord Longface and this is the final episode for Guaranteed. You know, there's little content left, and the reason also why I know this is the last episode is because this is post-commentary, because as would you have it, with my luck, basically the most important freaking event of this entire playthrough, the end, I have one of those stupid things happen to me. You know, that's basically my luck. Anyway, that's basically one of the reasons why I haven't posted anything in the last 4 months. Well, 3 months, I guess. Yeah, I just kind of got freaking burned out because of that. Yeah, major setback. And it's not even a tiny setback. No, it's legitimately a major setback. Anyway, hello everybody, welcome back to the end of the timeline. End of everything. The heat death of the Dark Souls 3 or the Dark Souls universe. The Ashen Wastes. With endless seas of ash. With only a few ruins of civilization sticking out above everything else. With only a few people still left kicking. One of those few people is this avertive pygmy. There are multiple, yes.
Oh, Eleanor, help me, please. The Red Hood is come to eat us, to eat our dark souls.
Yeah, these are the actual rulers of the Ringed City. Yet they have been placed alongside with Eleanor in some kind of time stasis. Like, the timeline actually still went on, but the consciousness of every world or something kind of was stuck in the first, you know, in that loop. Anyway, he can actually crawl back to the actual chamber of Eleanor, or at least close by, but then he dies. So it's not really worth following him, but it's kind of a nice touch. Yeah, basically this fight is a lot more fair than Dark Eater Midir. Also, just a lonely, sad little ringed knight out here. And he gives you a Titan Axe slap if you needed that for this next fight. So this area is basically one giant boss room. You ain't gonna need it. It's basically mostly pointless, but it's supposed to be. This is the heat death of this universe. The end of every energy, with only a few tiny bits of matter floating around. Not reacting with anything, just being still. With only the few most important and the most well remembered structures still sticking. But basically, the curse that Eleanor or Gwyn placed on Eleanor kept the world from actually reaching this point. But in the timeline, it reached it. The timeline in the background still went on. So everything that would have happened if the timeline would go on actually did happen, but it the world and everything else just got reset time and time again, with minor details missing or minor details added or minor details changed every single time. So, now that we have broken that curse, we are kicked into the far future where actually the heat death already happened. Like, the events that were supposed to happen already happened, and we basically removed a spell that kept us young for all these ages, but instantly gave all those ages back onto our bodies as soon as we broke that spell. Now, the Red Hood. The slave knight turned cannibal, who spent his entire life searching for every single little bit of the dark soul, collecting everything so that he could give the dark soul to his lady as pigment for the hopefully everlasting painting. This boss fight is a lot easier than Midir's, but it's also a lot more fun and a lot less predictable. Yes, a boss fight that is more predictable is actually harder than a boss fight that isn't that predictable. He still used moves on me at the last stages of my final fight with him. That's kind of crazy, I'm thinking, but that's the boss fight that I want from every boss that I fight. A boss that surprises me in every single second of the fight. That's where these games shine. If you fight a boss like 20 times over and it still surprises you, that's a sign of good game design. But here he is, with the last remnants of the dark soul, what was hidden by these pygmies, who were the leaders of the human city, who were slaughtered and just strewn about here and there, their blood drained from their bodies.
What still here? Hand it over, that thing, your dark soul. For my lady's painting. was the blood. The blood of the dark soul.
Yeah, those flips are basically the most powerful thing in his kit. Yeah. He actually takes his sweet ass time to crawl to you from the middle point of that change. And that's a grapple. It doesn't deal as much damage as a grapple from midair though, which is an insta-kill. I mean, I get it, it's a dragon, it's eating you, but still. I find Slave Knight Gale's fight to be more tense than Midair's. I find him way more scary. He's way more imposing. He's way more aggressive. He is basically the counterpart, the dark counterpart of the Soul Sin. Amalgamation of abilities and fighting styles in one being. And you can actually stagger, which is awesome. this boss fight, blocking will most likely get you killed. You can block one attack, but it strings multiple in one, and then you're doomed. You're basically never watching. And if you have a great weapon, you have a decent chance of actually stunning him. Can teleport. That's why he became so scary to me. He can actually freaking teleport. Just instant transmission style teleport with an additional attack in his last form. Like an attack that comes out basically instantly in his last form. The funny thing is, the more that you damage him, the more aggressive he becomes. The more he dodges and jumps around, and the less damage you will deal because you will miss your attacks. So he will become actually tankier the longer the fight goes on. So his health bar is pretty deceiving. You are less likely to hit an attack, and you have less attack opportunities in the last stage. That's the true cost design. He doesn't like to be in this state though. He kind of wails in pain a lot. Yeah. if you look at his cape and his belly, well, his belly isn't his belly anymore. There's a gaping hole inside of him. But there are kind of pustules on his cape and kind of pustules in his chest. Those pustules remind me of the... How could it not remind me, because I'm never going to forget that freaking disgusting shit of the fly nest in the first DLC, the human fly nest. It yeah, all those, you know, flesh-like substances and all those rotten surfaces. It kind of reminds me of that, which might indicate that the actually carry a lot more humanity than you might think. Hello Filino, bye bye Filino. Again. His first phase is the most predictable. If you have his first phase basically a little bit memorized, here and there, and then you can actually mostly perfect it, and then use whatever you have left in healing items in the next phases. So that's a neat thing to have. More disturbing in his first phase than the last phases though, because he kind of goes around a lot. Oh, and in terms of, you know, healing and basically perfect in his first phase, yeah, it kind of helps if you have a routine that if you heal back some portion of your health. You mustn't let him kill you in the first place. That's not that helpful. second and third stage, he becomes a lot more scarier because he can do shit like that. Well, it's not a really instant attack out of his teleport, but as soon as you overturn your camera, he basically has a charge attack. So what you need to do is roll forward 2 times, maybe even 3 times, to avoid everything. That attack surprised me a whole lot. He never used it before. This is it in terms of, you know, the time for this video, because goddamn, it's going to be a lot. I cut some of the fights out. So this is basically my 6th time or so fighting him, and I at least have time to his spin dash, fall things over your body. Because the crossbow that he fires during that spin, which I didn't know he did, actually does a lot of chip. Yeah, that's also an attack. But basically the crossbows that he can, yeah, basically throw out during his combos is very surprising. Because if you're not blocking that shit, it kind of deals a lot of damage. Here I'm like, pretty much to franchise, at the very least for now. The thing is, I would have liked a sudden, you know, reincarnation of something like Manus, Father of the Abyss, bursting out of the blood of Gale because that's basically every piece of the Dark Soul except yours. So the very first pick-me, I would have liked him to reincarnate right there, like Natasha or something from Dark Souls 2, the Queen style of, oh, you beat the last boss? Yeah, no. Here I am, bitch. I'm going to be your last boss. Style of last boss. Not another phase for Gale, because he is enough of a fight already. But just another fight after that. Yeah, I did it. Indeed, sadness. Because what's next isn't fun. It's sad. In multiple ways. It's kind of bittersweet, this. I'm just checking if there is anything I can do with this tower, but no. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything you can do with this tower. Sadly not. Sad enough. So, Soul of Slave Knight Gale. Soul of Slave Knight Gale. Wanted twisted soul steeped in strength. Used to acquire many souls to the red-hooded, wandering slave knight Gale sought the blood of the dark soul as pigment for the painted world. But Gale knew he was no champion, that the dark soul would likely ruin him, and that he had little hope of a safe return. So he knew this was a suicide mission. Because, yeah, nobody can hold that much power inside of him and not go mad. As seen in Manus and even his children. You can either see it as a humanity sprite surrounded by a large flame, or you can see it as an eye. It actually kind of looks like one. If you stare long enough into the abyss will stare back. And now, the spoils go to the victor. Blood of the Dark Soul. Blood of the Dark Soul that's seeped from the hole within Slave Knight Gale. Used as pigment by his lady in Ariandel to depict a painted world. When Gale came upon the Pygmy Lords, he discovered that the blood had long ago dried and so consumed the Dark Soul, so that the pigment might be actually fluid once again. So, what's next is to actually grant Gale's last wish. Bonfire lit AF. Ariandel Chapel. In here, we see that the fight between Freed and us kind of sparked something in this world and lit at least the chapel on fire. beginning the end of this world, of this painted world, which needs to burn to actually be destroyed in a good way. To remove all the rot, to remove the goddamn freaking flymen. Holy shit. Burn in hell. Still disgusted by them. Still disgusted by them. And I so goddamn hoped that the fire would have actually took out everything that's flammable on this statue and we would be able to see what the hell is under it. But for now, my best guess is that it is a representation of the relation between the primordial serpents and Free. Well, yeah, at the very least. Alright, now area. Wait, yeah, you can tell me that isn't freaking Priscilla. I mean, come the fuck on. That just looks like Priscilla, doesn't it? You can tell me that isn't Priscilla.
Ashen One, thy gift of flame has taken root, and Uncle Gale will soon bring the pigment. Pigment, colored like the dark soul of man. I wonder if Uncle Gale has found it. Pigment, colored like the dark soul of man.
Yes, dearie, yes.
I wonder the pig. My thanks, Ashen One. With this will I paint a world. Please tell me thy name. I would name this painting after thee.
My name is Lord Sebastian Longface.
My thanks. I will paint a world of that name. 'Twill be a cold, dark, and very gentle place. And one day, it will make someone a goodly home.
It won't be a cold place
I
for
wonder
long.
when Uncle Gale intends his return. I hope the new painting will
Yes,
be to
it
him
would have.
a gentle home.
It would have gone.
My thanks, Ashen One. I will assuredly finish the painting of a cold, dark, and very gentle place. One day, it will make someone a goodly home. My thank I will of a one.
It won't be a cold place for long, though, dearie. You need to take it out of this chapel. It's on fire. This world is doomed. Take the next world out of this one before you paint it, please, girl. For the sake of Gale, don't make his death be in vain. Well,
my thank by will of what?
That is it. Alright. That's one of the few things we needed to do before we ended this place. This playthrough. Now, someone told me that once you broke the curse of Villeneuve, that there were more trees in the Fern Woods. Now, I don't know for sure. I can't really tell, but it would be kind of awesome that the breakage of the curse of endless time actually did something to the worlds. Anyway, this isn't that important. So let's check up on an old friend of ours. Wait. She isn't here anymore. Whoa. Basically, follow the right path. You can actually do this before you start a fight with Gil, if you wanted to use this weapon.
I've searched for thee, dark-stricken creature. I am Shira, daughter of the Duke, descendant of gods, and trusted friend to Medea. At once, I am the honor of the gods, the glory of fire, and the fear of the dark. Thou shalt not go unpunished for thy treachery, thy profanity, and thy shameless yearning.
Yearning for what? The end of everything? I want things to be permanent. The only thing that is permanent is the end of everything. With all of your titles, you're not that powerful. Kind of pitiful, in fact.
Would I ever forgive thy lowly kind?
So your size doesn't actually mean anything in this world if you're human or not. Having any part of the humanity spirit basically does, or she doesn't see herself as human. That could also be a thing. Crucifix of the Mad King. This weapon is kind of insane, kind of far out there. In terms of design, at the very least. Because it actually deals dark damage. A crossbear hung with a malformed corpse. Once a Mad King was born to the Pygmy royalty, and Shira, Knight of Villeneuve, put him to rest. But Shira's cross spear, unable to kill the undying king, only pinned itself to him. Shira delivered them together to a dark room, where she stayed and held them close. Skill, Mad King's Folly. Slam malformed corpse into the ground to briefly awaken it, then fillet with strong attack to trigger a roar, a blessing, or vexation. So is this a curse or a blessing? You tell me, pick me, Royal. You tell me. Which is normal halberd in every other way. But yeah, in terms of weapons and metas, the only reason why I would ever play this game again is basically this weapon. It's a caster and melee weapon in one, with a sick ass weapon art, if you actually have the stats for it. And it's basically just a freaking flaming sword. Well, not a flaming sword, a sword made of flames. I mean, come on, that's awesome. Now, let's do the final little bits of things that we need to do before ending this game. Namely, going to the corpse of Luthric, and reading Gale's equipment. Great sword of Gale, of Slave Knight Gale. The only weapon that he kept with him from the beginning to end. Originally an executioner's sword made for decapitation, this blade is heavily chipped and stained with the blood of countless battles. Skill, Blade of Peril. A precarious technique unique to Undead Gale. Leap in any direction, slam the greatsword to the ground, then follow with normal attack for a large spinning slash or strong attack to backstab and jump forward in an overhead slam. Basically, this is, yeah, kind of his playstyle, but then in a sword that you can use. It's kind of strong. It's sufficient at the very least. This repeating crossbow. This crossbow, customized for repeat firing to face mobs alone, was wielded by Slave Knight Gale. Used in the battles of an endless journey, this crossbow is covered with twists and dinks, rusted with blood and made extremely brittle from overuse. Skill, Repeat Fire. Assume the sense to activate repeat firing mechanism and repeat fire with normal and strong attacks. Yeah, it's kind of a machine gun of a crossbow. It's awesome, don't get me wrong, but I will take the greatsword. And I will show you what the special abilities are. And because, yeah, it's just a normal greatsword in every other way. So it's a little bit faster than my curved greatsword, but also a slightly weaker. But the special attacks come out very fast, and especially if you have a weapon skill shield. And with the mobility that it has, you can actually fake out people really, really well. But in terms of damage, it's alright, I guess. Things could be stronger, but yeah. And in terms of the damage that it deals, because you can actually still do the attacks without any focus points, the damage that it deals is like now 75% or something of the damage that it deals with focus points. So you can still fake out people. Well, alright. Let's end this. Well. Alright. Now. This is basically the end of the official part of the video. Damn, it already has been an hour. Yeah, I told you guys that it would be a long one. It would have been twice as long if I kept everything that I recorded up, but yeah. Now, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you dislike this video, please leave a dislike. Comment whatever you want. But I cannot really control you to do anything, because you are your own lord and or lady, and if you only came here for the little bit of content and not for my opinion of this game, then my name is Lord Longface, and I will see you in my next video, which will, yeah, it will be a little bit faster than 3 months. I swear, I freaking swear. It's December, come on. The Christmas vacation is coming up, so I have a little bit more time to do stuff. Yeah? Alright. So, without further ado, let's snuff out this flame. Summon the Firekeeper.
The first flame quickly fades. Darkness will shortly settle. But one day, tiny flames will dance across the darkness. Like embers linked by Lord's Pass. Ashen One, hearest thou my voice still?
That's all, folks. I do not wish to begin new. I wish to stay. Alright. Now, for everybody that sticked around, hello. Welcome to the aftermath of this entire playthrough. Now, was it an enjoyable experience? Yes. Was it different than I thought it would be in terms of Let's Playing? Because this is the first actual full-on Let's Play that I ever did of a game. Kind of, yeah. If you watched everything of mine, then congratulations, you have watched more than 1.5 days worth of content from me. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I don't know how you even came to know of this channel, but still, thank you for your dedication. So, as you can remember, I started this playthrough of mixing and matching whatever I wanted to talk about and whatever my political opinions were, etc. And, you know, I kind of felt eventually that didn't really go well if you put those things together. I mean, it has its places here and there, but this is a game you need to fully focus on the lore. So that's what I eventually did. I eventually just said, fuck it, I'm going to focus on the lore and nothing more. Because let's not ruin this game with anything else, shall we? Yeah, in terms of game. I have probably the unpopular opinion of finding this game at the first time that I played it. Like, this is the first time that I actually finished the game, like, fully. I have played multiple times through this game, at the very least, up till Eldritch, the God Eater, but nothing really more beyond that. And certainly not the DLCs. This was the first time that I played the DLCs. That I even started the DLCs, by the way, but never mind that. My point being, the first time that I played through Dark Souls 1, it was already an old game, but I still enjoyed it quite a lot. It's still one of my best, best experience with a game from the first time that I, actually played it. And it will probably remain that way. Having said that, if I play it now, I would probably dislike it more than this game. Why? It's a lot more clunky, and yeah, in terms of quality, it's just a little bit lower. In terms of polish, I would say Dark Souls 1 is better. In terms of quality, it isn't. As in the, optimization, the graphics, just the technical stuff. Dark Souls 1 isn't up to par, of course, to Dark Souls, even Dark Souls 2. In terms of polish, yeah, I would say Dark Souls 1 gets the award of, yeah, basically the best. In terms of enjoyment, in the first time around that I played the game, this one, Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls 2 for me come to a very, very close, way too close to call splits of which one is better, so I'm just going to give them both half of that trophy. Yes, I really, really enjoyed Dark Souls 2. It focused way more on the RPG side of the game, and I like RPGs. I just like them a lot more than action games in some cases. Warframe is a little bit different because it's just an action game where you can actually be, you know, extremely mobile. Like it's quite insane, the gameplay of Warframe, but that's a whole entire different genre of action game. In terms of, yeah, the Soulsborne series, I would like them to be a lot more RPG-ish. I would like for every build to be viable, at the very least for the PvE, and for every build to feel way different than any other build. I want to be able to make very weird combinations of builds too. Like, I want to be able to make a mage tank, or to make a rogue cleric, or to make a pyromancer. God, what's more? Pyromancer hexer? I know that uses the same stats, so it's kind of easy to merge them. It's not that weird, but you know, just let's say I want to make crazy combinations of things. I can't really do that in this game. I can't. Why? Because there isn't enough mechanics for it. The mechanic of poise is so busted up that armor doesn't really matter if you're not focusing on it, which I did with this character, which worked quite well. You saw me just poise tanking straight through some attacks from Gil, so it has its uses, especially with the weapon that I'm using, because it deals more damage the more you can attack, and if you poise through shit you can attack more. So yeah, the less stamina that I need to use for rolling or for blocking, the better, because the more stamina that I can use to attack, which I can do more because I have high poise. So yeah, if you want to make a poise character, if you want to make a tank, yeah, you can do that, but you really need to focus on it. Like, no healthy human being would ever put as much points in vitality or the stat that increases your equipment rate as I did in this game. Nobody. Absolutely fucking nobody. If you wanted to do something like that in Dark Souls 1, you could basically way too easily do it. Just have enough strength to at least carry a great shield and just put on full heavels. Yeah, you're probably not going to roll much, but you're basically poise tanking through everything, and if you use the hevel shields because you have enough strength, then yeah, you're basically invincible at that point. You're not going to outkite a mage, which will definitely destroy you in PvP if you're, you know, yeah, bad at conserving your stamina. But still, that's PvP, not PvE. which I play the most, PvE. In Dark Souls 2, it was kind of a little bit too easy, but that made it fun for me. It was way too easy to be kind of tanky and kind of poisy for PvP, so that kind of ruined that shit. But if you played PvE mostly, and if you want to play PvE mostly, then it is way more opening. It's way more freeing, yeah, basically stuff up for your builds, because you can put in a slight amount of stats into what kind of armor you're going to wear, and then you're basically a poise god. It's nice. It's very nice. It's very nice. But you can actually use anything that you could imagine, basically, with any other thing that you can use in that entire game, and still make it kind of work. Kind of. There are some weapons that, you know, basically are joke weapons and just, yeah, don't deal damage at all, but still, you can kind of make things work. In this game, I already said it, you need to focus way too much on stats of that kind for your build to even consider putting stats in different things, so you can actually use different items and different weapons and different armors and different tactics, which the thing that I want from my bosses, I also want for myself, basically to be as flexible as possible. Even if I don't use all my options, I want to have more options. And I don't feel that I have those in Dark Souls 3. And that brings me to the last of the 3 trophies, which the first being the first being first time enjoyment, second being wait, no, fuck. Anyway, I don't know exactly what I said, but in terms of replayability and in terms of my favorite right now, I would definitely have to go with the unpopular opinion parrot, Dark Souls 2. Yeah, basically for the reasons that I said, and also because the Scholar of the First Sin edition, or the, you know, the Scholar of the First Sin edition mixes things up quite a lot. It changes some of the things of the game that were kind of not Dark Souls, I would say. It still feels like a very different game, but it still works, and it still works on its own as a game. Dark Souls 3 just relies too heavily on Dark Souls 1 for it as a game in terms of lore than Dark Souls 2 did. But still, that's not that really, bad to have, because, you know, people were really not that warm at the end of Dark Souls 2 for Dark Souls 2. They weren't that pleased, so of course they would want to go back to Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls 1 kind of styles. But they did also bring back some of the problems from that game, and didn't bring back some of the solutions of Dark Souls 2 for that game, so yeah. Don't get me wrong, everybody. This game is still at the very least an 8.5 for me. I would say Dark Souls 2 is a 9, and Dark Souls 1 at this point, if I want to play it now, would be an 8. An 8 plus, but not an 8.5. Um. Yeah. Basically, in terms of lore, this did close off the Dark Souls franchise for me in a good way. In a very good way. I'm satisfied. This is the end. This is how everything wraps up. Alright, fine. I'm going to move on now. I'm not going to pick this game up that quickly in the future though. One of the biggest changes of this game in terms of mechanics is the focus points, and I don't think they should have done that. I think they should have stuck to the limited casts per spell and maybe have more spell charges regen items, so you can, you know, or maybe even just keep the Ashen Estus flask in the game but still have the charge mechanics. Why? Because with a singular mana pool and a singular focus points pool, you aren't very inclined to use any other spell than the most effective spell for that moment, which in turn means that you will be spamming crystal homing soul spear for the rest of the entire game once you get that shit. Like, that's not fun. I like variety, and I like to be able to do many things. But if there's a clear full strategy, like a strategy which just basically annihilates everything, I'm still going to use that. No freaking doubt. If there's a cheese strategy, even if I don't like the game as much, if I use that cheese strategy, I am kind of weak like that, I'm still going to use the cheese. I'm still going to eat that sweet, juicy, spicy cheese ball. So you either need to make multiple ways to cheese things, or make everything as balanced as possible, so that if you have a short amount of time which you can use a spell in, just throw it out there. You know what I just remembered. You know what I would have liked? In Dark Souls 2, they actually played around with chargeable spells. The longer you charge your spell, the more damage it got, and the more of its special ability it got. Like Fireball would have had a larger explosion the more that you charge it up. I would have liked that in this game. Or at least something like that in Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3. Just so that you can use one spell in multiple ways. Like maybe if you double tap it, it's a very quick cost. If you tap it one time, it's just a normal cost. If you hold it down, it's a charge shot. And maybe weirder effects, like if you use the greatsword. If you do a quick tap and then a charge tap, that you do a stab in the ground and then pull it upwards for a giant arcane explosion. Some shit like that. Like variety, you know? Multiple ways to use one thing. Multiple ways to use one spell for multiple purposes and in multiple ways. Maybe there's a flying enemy. Maybe if you double tap the Great Soul Sword, you actually do an overhead swing instead of a horizontal swing, so that you can hit flying enemies. Just a thought. Shit like that. That's why I like the trick weapons from from Bloodborne. If you're really liking one trick weapon, eventually you're going to use both parts of the weapon. Like, I used the church hammer a lot in that game, but in both actual, you know, modes. But when I switched over to the beast class, I never went back to the one-handed, because that's just inferior. Like, we need weapons or spells that we can use in multiple ways, in multiple different situations. And I know that that's what they wanted to do with the focus points in the weapon arts, but the weapons arts are just way too weak to even be used. Like the demon fists, for example, the weapon that I wanted to use in the first place, in my first playthrough, that weapon art looks awesome, but it's shit for damage. It's not even good for PvE, let alone PvP. It's way too obvious. It's way too, how you call it, animation locky, which I don't like in the first place, animation locks. You know, if you do a charge attack, you know, you could say, then you're stuck in the charge attack. No, just make it do more damage the longer that you charge. Point. That's it. That's all you need to do. And make you be able to roll out of charges, etc. Just give the player more option. Give the player more room for error correction. Like if you started to swing, but you notice the boss actually swings back at you at that time, just be able to roll. Why not? It makes the game a lot more dynamic, which makes it a lot more fun. Because the point of games is being able to interact with them, right? That's the whole entire shtick of the gaming media, isn't it? That you can actually interact with it and not be stuck watching something that you know isn't going to be good, that you're going to not like, you know, anticipating a jump scare or something, which I don't like those. I don't know what you think, but I don't like those. Alright, the fourth part of this over. Yeah, you already heard my final judgment of this game, an 8.5, which 5 is an average for me. Not a 6, no, literally at the halfway point of a 1 to 10 ratio, 5 is my average. So it's far beyond average. I would call Warframe a 7, and I would call I would give Path of Exile a 7-. At the very least for now. I know there is an Abyss League coming, which I'm going to actually, you know, be making videos about. I'm going to start a character right after I'm done recording this, by the way. So yeah, that's basically, I'm going to finish Path of Exile after this one, and I'm planning to do it all in this league also, all in Abyss mode, everything. And I'm going back to my flamethrower marauder for this. Yeah, just shield charging into enemies and then flamethrowing them. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do with my marauder now. Just endurance charges to the max with Enduring Cry, and then discharge if I need to have a burst of damage. Yeah. I'm still perfecting that build, of course, or tweaking that build, It's not going to be perfecting because I'm not a master build maker, but some builds I made actually did quite a lot of work. So that's the future, basically. Again, kind of sorry, kind of not sorry, kind of I'm busy with shit with school. It's my last year. Come on, that I didn't post any videos in the last 3 months. I mean, you know, it's also not really that motivating that nobody watches them, but I'm not really that much of a guy that advertises his channel a lot. Maybe I need to do that to get more views, of course. I mean, it's difficult to even get rolling in this business. But yeah, if I don't really get interaction back from this, it's not that motivating. But I still kind of like doing this. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not going to stop anytime soon. I'm probably not going to be cranking out videos, at the very least once a month after this one, at the very least, and basically in bursts if I want to play a certain game, or if there's something coming up for a game that I'm already playing. So well, I'm basically done talking now. Yeah, there's nothing really that I have to say about this game anymore, except that I'm at the very least satisfied. I'm a little bit disappointed in some of the bosses, and especially in Madeira. Oh my god. But I'm also disappointed in the Ashen Dragon from Dark Souls 2, and I'm also kind of disappointed in... I don't know, what... Wait. Was I disappointed about any boss in Dark... No, I wasn't. That's the point. I even find the Bed of Chaos. I even find that boss pretty awesome. Because I, you know, in contrary to many people, actually, you know, shoot the 2 points first with a bow, because I like to be I like to vary my builds so that I can use many things, so that I can actually use different strategies. And for that boss, I just shoot the 2 sides and just run straight through the middle. I'm not even dying like from the hand swipes or anything, from the floors that are falling, because I am, yeah, I'm playing it smart. Don't get me wrong, if you run to the left and then to the right and then to the middle and then jumped in, it's not that you're dumb or something, but it's not as efficient. And like myself, some efficiency. Which is why if there's a cheese tactic, I'm definitely going to use that shit even if I don't like it. Yeah. In terms of different content. Because I'm going to do, at the very least, 1 video a month, I do have a little bit more time to edit my videos. So that's basically going to be two of my next Warframe videos. One about the Gera quests, and one about the latest and not really that greatest, but pretty great Operation Plaguestar, both on the plains of Ireland, which is still one of the very best things that Warframe ever had. I'm going to edit those videos quite a lot. I'm going to try and do more things. Yeah, basically adding more post editing jokes, etc. into, you know, just being a little more entertaining, if you will, not just being here and talking to you guys and gals and gender fluids, which, you know. But in terms of my earlier episodes of this playthrough, the ones with the additional, not really welcome, not really that needed social commentary, I'm not saying that I'm not going to do any social commentary whatsoever. I'm not. I'm just saying that with games where I focus on the lore a lot, I'm going to separate that. In terms of social commentary, is if there is something that I really want to talk about, if I find something on the internet that is really important to me, or just so outrageous to me that it triggers me so hard that I want to make a video about it, I'm not going to, you know, be scared about it and not do it. I mean, I'm not about self-censoring and shit, you know. I'm not a cock to use one of the most overused freaking, you know, derogatory terms of this year. Cock. Yeah, alright. Also, if you couldn't really notice, right now on the clock it's 00:50 for me, so about 1 AM, and my time that I got up this day was 7:30 in the morning, so I'm very close to being 20 hours awake, which, you know, for a young guy, well, semi-young, adolescent man, I guess, isn't, you know, that good for a clear mind, so I'm going to leave it here. Be prepared for some more exile journals, though. I'm going to play the hell of that game now. Yeah. Right the fuck now, by the way. Let's go. Bye-bye. This wouldn't be a Dark Souls 3 Ashen Journey video without me disconnecting now, would it? Yeah.